want to start tonight with a question. Do you want to see life change happen? Do you want to see other people's lives transformed by Jesus? If you have experienced radical life change, the life change that happens when you decide to follow Jesus, do you want others to experience that too? Love it. It's a pretty heavy question, and it's okay if you don't know the answer yet, honestly. It's a really heavy question because for some of us, it might have taken a long time for you to even want to say yes to the life change that comes with following Jesus. But when I ask that because what comes to mind for me is serving. And in my opinion, serving is a part of who we are. It's engraved in our everyday life. And we start to think about who actually serves us. Tucson's a pretty big military town, so you might find yourself saying thank you for your service. A lot of first responders, they serve us every day. People at restaurants, my husband and I go out to eat a lot, so we are always getting served by waiters and waitresses. Probably go out more than we should. People at church serve us in different ways. Maybe it's in the cafe. Maybe it's your small group leader tonight. But like I said, it's part of our everyday lives, even when we don't realize it sometimes. And serving is a part of your own life. It's part of my life. I think back on when I was in 6th grade, I finally had the opportunity to serve in VBS at my home church, which is kind of like the fine arts camp or day camp here. I was so excited about it. It was a week-long thing. I got to co-lead alongside another leader. And when you're in middle school, you start with like the younger kids, so kindergarten, 1st grade. I was so excited. It was great. But the best part about it was every day the kids would go to rec time. So they'd go and play games outside in the field where grass is. We don't have a lot of grass here, but that's where they'd go and play. But when they went to do that, they had like a whole rec team. We would go and have break time, and that came with snacks. And it was the best. I loved it. They had those like store-bought French toast sticks, which I know, they're so good. They are chef's kiss, really. I know they're not actually that good, but they are good. They always had somebody make this homemade marinara sauce. They'd bring it in their little crock pot, and they would have bread to go with it, and you could dip it. So tasty. And that is what made it worth it for me every single year. Clearly, I know, preach, right? Clearly, my motivation for serving has changed a little bit. And in fact, I want to add that a few years later, they did change it, and snack time wasn't a part of it. And I'm pretty sure that's when I started serving more with student ministry than kids ministry anyways. But still serve with kids, they're great. All this to say, I want to ask the question, what does the word serve mean to you? And I ask that because the world that we live in tends to be a world that's all about me. But when we are living on mission, the mission that is loving others to Jesus, the mission that is being the hands and feet of Jesus, we get the opportunity to make a difference by serving others. Friends, living on mission means that we are choosing a life that reflects Jesus day in and day out. That's what that means. And we have this opportunity to change the narrative that is me-centric. But what does me-centric even mean? Well, it means you're putting yourself first. Like I said, we live in a world that is all about me. Our time first. All of your energy goes towards things that benefit you. Your resources go to you. Your skills only come back to benefit you. We are me-centric people, even if you don't realize it. It's just selfishness. And I say these things, and you might be thinking, I know a person who is just like that. They're all about me. But chances are, it is you too. I know it's me. It's me too. It's human nature to be all about me. So let's see how that me-centric narrative changes when we dive into Scripture. This is laid out for us so clearly in Scripture, and it's shown to us by Jesus himself. Now, when we read through the story of Jesus' life, we get to see so many examples of how he loved others. Jesus loved others, expecting nothing in return. He healed, he fed, he encouraged, and served well. He led by example, and again, for absolutely nothing in return. That's just what he did. So in John 13, which is in the second half of the Bible in the New Testament, it is the fourth gospel. And it's a gospel that really focuses on how Jesus is the Son of God. In verse 12 through 17, it says this: "When he had washed their feet and put on his outer garments and resumed his place, he said to them, 'Do you understand what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you should do just as I have done to you. Truly, truly, I say to you, a servant is not greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. If you know these things, blessed are you if you do them.'" So what does this passage about Jesus washing feet have anything to do with serving other people? Well, it's a passage that highlights humility and service. And humility and serving go hand in hand. I love this passage because Jesus shows us how to serve and why we serve. And we serve to be an example. And this is a great passage that highlights humility. Back then, this act of washing somebody's feet was an ultimate act of humility. One, it's gross. These people are walking around barefoot or with thin sandals all day long, so their feet are not clean. And Jesus says, "Let me wash your feet for you. Let me cleanse you of the dirt and the mess that you are bringing in today." And we are called to live on mission just like that, to serve out of humility just like that. It's that concept of choosing to reflect who Jesus is, just like in this passage. So when we aren't serving out of humility, where does that leave us? When we choose to just serve to get something. Like I said, Jesus did everything for us, expecting nothing in return. I will admit, my pride gets in the way of a lot of things. It's that thought that I deserve recognition for what I'm doing, if I did something great. It's that idea like you want to be recognized for it, and you want that. So when our pride is getting in the way. But a specific part of my life stands out to me in this, actually. When I was in college, there was this opportunity to be part of a group starting Young Life in my college town of Marion, Indiana, which is in the absolute middle of nowhere, might I add. But I was a part of Young Life in high school, so I was like, yes, let's do it. I'm so excited to be part of this group. But if I'm being completely honest, I wanted to be part of it so that I could be known for it. I was excited to be part of that starting group. They were getting a lot of recognition on campus. Like, this is a big deal. Like, they've never had this. They had some other ministries in town that were parachurch ministries, so similar, but not the exact same. And Young Life is a big name. I was so excited. I was like, yes, I'm going to be on this list. I wanted my name to be on that starting group. I was sharing with everyone, like, yes, I'm part of this, like, telling everyone how cool it was that I get to be part of this. I was excited. I wanted to be known for it. But I also knew I was transferring that next fall. Yet I made the decision to still be a part of it. One, I think I thought the work would be less to get some recognition for this. So I was like, easy way, easy in, 100%. No, one, that was wrong. There's a lot of prep work that goes into that before you go into schools. But two, I really just wanted to be part of that. And if I'm being honest, I dropped so quickly when I realized how much work it was going to be. And everybody around me cared so deeply to be a part of this mission. this mission that was going to schools and loving on these students. And it's not that I necessarily didn't care about that, but I think I cared more about being part of this group, this starting group, this group that was getting recognition, than actually serving the people that we were about to serve and actually putting in the work. And I realized I missed out on some really cool things to be a part of. And I own it. And honestly, I don't know if it would have been a huge part of my life because I was going to transfer and go to a different school. But I did miss out on some cool things that they were doing to prep the city of Marion and these high schools and these students for some radical life change. Because my pride got in the way of serving others. We become more aware, though, of people around us and what their needs are when we decide to live on mission for Christ. It's that idea of choosing humility. We get to see what others may need and how we can help fill those gaps, though, without any sort of recognition, just like Jesus. And I've actually seen that play out in my own life, with Young Life, actually, but not on my own end and my doing. But it's how somebody humbly chose to serve me. This is my friend Beth. I love Beth. Beth is wonderful. Beth was actually, you don't have to, actually, you could clap for Beth. She's great. You could clap for Beth. She's awesome. This is also high school Amy. I wish I had a better photo with Beth, but I swear we always have no photos with the people that we spend the most time with or so involved in our lives because you're just too busy hanging out, I guess. But this is Beth. She was my high school Young Life leader. I joined high school my junior year of high school, but I've actually known Beth since I was in probably 8th grade to freshman year, just through some mutual connections through church. But like I said, she is a rock star. She has served me in ways I didn't realize I needed. She championed me and supported my call in ministry. She's the wildlife director, actually, in our home area, which is the middle school version of Young Life. She was available to take random calls throughout high school and college and into my adult life. In fact, Beth and I actually got to talk today on the phone for 40 minutes just to catch up and to talk about ministry and to talk about marriage and to talk about all things life in Arizona, and it was wonderful. But Beth invited me into her home, her story, and her life, and Beth chose humility in that. Those were moments where she chose to serve me in those ways instead of choosing herself. So many times she chose humility to serve me. And at those times, it was choosing a selfish and dramatic and very needy high school, college, and young adult girl who just wanted somebody to talk about probably random nonsense, which she knew was random and didn't mean much in the big scheme of things, but at the time meant everything to me. And that radically changed how I serve and love others today. Because Beth serves, you don't have to clap for that, Lucas, it's okay. Because Beth serves and loves like Jesus. I appreciate it, but I want you guys to think of how others have humbly served you in your life. Because again, Jesus is our ultimate example in that. So how can we take Jesus' example and use that? How do we even know where to serve and who to serve and how to serve other people? One of the first things that we can do is we can ask God to help us love others more. I want to reiterate, we live in a world that is all about me. So what does it look like to ask God to say, God, I need help loving these people? He will change your heart drastically to help you love the people in your life. Even if it's people like a friend or a family member, or maybe it's that person that you find just really hard to love, which can be really difficult. But God will do it. He can and he will. When we love others more, God will help us love more without expecting anything in return. Because we aren't loving other people to have them love us more. Our desire should be for us to be an example because it's an opportunity to be the hands and feet of Jesus. serving other people is a way to love them. The next thing is, which is really, really simple when I say it, but look at your schedule. Don't overcommit. I'm sure you guys could look at your calendars and all the things that you're doing, extracurriculars, different clubs and sports, just trying to fit in time for homework. I know you guys get a lot. But it's okay if you can't do every single thing that somebody's asking you to do. Because burnout is real. We live in a world where the hustle and busy mentality is praised. But the truth is, we don't always have to be doing something. I know it seems like we do. We always seem like we're busy. We have to be filling our schedules. For a long time recently, I feel like people have been saying, yes, I love that I'm committing to this, this, and this. Don't overcommit, friends. Ask God to free up some time to figure out where he wants you to serve and who he wants you to serve. And remind yourself that a yes to one thing is always going to be a no to something else. You said yes to hanging out with this friend and no to helping your mom that night. You said yes to hanging out with a friend and no to babysitting maybe a close family friend that needed it. Think through that, because let's prioritize and choose our yeses wisely. You prioritize the things in your life that matter. It could be serving here at Pantano, or maybe somewhere in the community, or right in your home or school. It could look as simple as asking your parents how you can help out around the house. Jesus prioritized other people in his ministry. It's what his earthly life was all about. In Matthew 20:28, it says, even as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. This is the example that we are looking towards. Jesus, who was perfect in every way, came to serve other people. When we, flawed humans, that is what we are supposed to be desiring. That is what we are aiming for. But the last thing I want to emphasize is never underestimate your influence in the kingdom. Friends, God would not call us to serve for no reason. Serving other people is kingdom impact. And there is no age to start serving others. There's no requirements. You just have to say, yes, that's what I want to do. Going back to that original story, I started serving in my home church when I was in 6th grade. Granted, it was for the snacks, and they were tasty, but it did stem into other parts of my life later on. When I was 19, I was super excited. I had just finished interning at my home church with middle school ministry. It's actually where I met my husband, sort of. But it was super fun. But he's here tonight. He's right there. I was super excited because I got the opportunity to start leading a small group. We called them D groups at the time in my home church. And one of my small group girls, I had actually known since she was probably 5 or 6. She was the daughter of my old student pastor. So I had seen this girl grow up. In fact, I used to give her my old clothes. And to this day, I still give her my clothes. So she's been wearing my clothes for a long time. And I've seen her grow into them. We love it. But she is in college now. And I had the opportunity just to see her grow and to see how Jesus has impacted her life and how she gets to impact the kingdom through serving. So I actually have a video to share now.
Hey you guys, my name is Sarah, and I just want to talk a little bit about what it's like to serve in your church community. And so I've learned a couple of things over my 4 years in high school and just wanted to share a couple of them with you. So the first thing that I want to encourage you guys with, that my youth pastor always encouraged me, was saying that you are the church. You are the church now, not later, not when you're an adult, but as you are in high school. And you're never too young to serve. You're never too young to build the kingdom, and that shouldn't discredit you from doing and putting yourself out in this direction. Another thing that I learned just about myself was that this is where I saw the Lord reveal himself most to me. It was when I was serving. And this was super cool because a bunch of his characteristics was revealed to me during this time. So I saw that he was the provider, and that he was the giver of all good gifts, that he was the ultimate healer and the ultimate protector, And to learn all of these things firsthand, when I see them happening in front of me, it was really beautiful. The other thing that we see in the Bible is that Christ came to serve and not to be served. And as we're called to act and be more like Christ, that's super important because we can take this heart of servanthood and use it for the kingdom. The other thing that we see in the Bible is that the Lord wants our hearts to break for what breaks his. So I encourage you guys to go find a spot in your community or in your church that the Lord's heart breaks for, that the Bible shows that is a atmosphere that needs support. So I found this in the disability program and ministry in my church, and I saw that the Lord's heart broke when that community wasn't involved in the congregation of the church or wasn't cared for in certain ways. And so pouring myself into that area of service was super special then to see the fruit of that. So I'm super excited to hear about how you guys choose to serve in your churches and in your communities. And yeah, thanks. Bye.
She mentioned serving in our disability ministry at our home church. And that was actually one of the first moments I got to see just serving go full circle, starting to serve with her. And we got to serve together in that ministry, and it was so awesome. And she still does it when she's home from college. Because, like I said before, we become more aware of others' needs when we live on mission. I became way more aware as I got older of some of the needs of the girls in my small group. It's what I needed at that time. Like how Beth was there for me. It was just being there for somebody. And the truth is, serving will always just be a sacrifice. Like I said, saying yes to one thing is no to something else. I used to commute an hour there and an hour back when I started serving in that small group. I was going to college in downtown Chicago, and I would take the train from Chicago to the suburbs every single Sunday. 1 hour there, I would take the train back, an hour back, and I'd get there late at night, and it was scary. But that was what I was giving up, some time at school. And again, the Lord transformed my heart, though, to do these things without expectation of anything in return. And sometimes you're doing these things, you're serving other people, and you're wondering, am I actually making a difference? Am I actually going to see anything come from this? Even if it's not for yourself, you're wondering, am I helping the people that I'm choosing to help? Are they getting anything out of it too? And I promise you that God is working, even when you don't see it. So the question that I have is, how can we serve others this week to make a difference in the kingdom? Again, we can ask God for clarity on who in your life needs to be served. Ask him, how can I love others better to do what you've asked me to do? Again, maybe it's your family. I would encourage you, even tonight, just to say, hey, how can I help you this evening or in the evenings this week after school? If it's a peer or a friend or just somebody that you know that maybe could use a little bit of help, asking them, how can I help take something off of your plate? Look at your schedules too. Again, you don't always need to say yes to every single thing. You don't need to say yes to every single person. Think about when in your day you could be serving somebody else. And sometimes that's choosing a yes to somebody else over a yes to yourself. Friends, everyone is called to serve and love others. God created us to make a difference and to radically be a part of life change. So in small groups tonight, you'll be talking about how you can serve others this week. And I want you to think through that and commit to serving somebody else this week.